started saying my last prayers. What could I do? I mean, that flight, I don't know how to call it, but it has done a lot of bad things to me that I'm good. Yes, flight up to the ring. Were you trying to be a hero? Hero in our lives? Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If today is the first time coming across my video, you know what to do. Just stay with me and subscribe to the channel. And if you're an old subscriber, I love you for what you're doing. Don't forget to like, share, comment. Let's talk about my first flight experience. My first flight was supposed to happen in, I think, junior high school, but unfortunately, due to some class tests I was having, was it midterm exams or class tests, I couldn't go. And my first flight happened when I was in tertiary. So I booked a return flight from Accra to Kumasi. Means I was going to Kumasi and coming back to Accra again. It was so funny. I did all the necessary things I was supposed to do. Booked the flight on my own, paid with mobile money. I went there with a friend. We checked in and we did all the necessary things we were supposed to do. And then it got to the time where I had to go to the waiting room and go and board my flight. So the friend saw me off and I went in alone. When I got inside, I was a bit nervous. I was a bit confused. Where am I going? But if you know how to read and write, it's not so difficult to get your way through. So I got in there, I sat down. We hear them talking. If you know you're boarding this flight, use this gate, use that gate. So I just followed the crowd, and I was a bit nervous. Not a bit, I was nervous because that was my first time. And when people talk about landing and taking off could be a bit scary. So I was a bit scared, I wouldn't lie to you. I got into the flight and it took off. I held on to the seats. It took off. It was okay. When we got into the sky, my mom had already told me that there are potholes in the sky. So I was ready for the potholes. There were a bit turbulences. I managed. It wasn't that scary. I didn't talk to anybody because I didn't know anybody in the place. I wasn't talking. Even the person next to me, I didn't even talk to the person. We just exchanged some pleasantries and that was then. I got into it. There were turbulences. I was scared. Is it actually the potholes my mom talks about, or this is a different thing? But I got into it, and we landed. It was safe landing. I was so happy. And then the main deal was when I was coming back. Yes, that was actually my first return flight. So let me talk about that. Was the main deal. That flight, I don't know how to call it, but it has done a lot of bad things to me that I'm good. Ready. I went to the airport, Kumasi airport, as usual. I did all the necessary things, familiarities. We were waiting. The flight came and we boarded the flight. Before we were boarding the flight, the skies were a bit cloudy, but we didn't actually pay attention. I'm not a pilot, so even if I pay attention to it, nothing will happen. So we just boarded the flight. 20 to 25 minutes into the flight, we started hearing some turbulences, but we thought it was a normal thing because, as I said earlier, my first one, it happened. There can be a plane, or can there be a flight with no turbulences? I doubt. So it was a normal thing. I got into it 25 minutes inside the flight, or let's say during the flight. Then the turbulences became very hard. The thing was shaking. I don't know if you understand what. I told myself, I don't know what this thing wants to do to me, but whatever you're trying, calm yourself down. It was shaking. And when you get into a flight, you see people who are so used to it. They are so used to the system. It's a day-to-day something, so they are not scared. But I started seeing fear on their faces. And when I turn around, I see people getting scared. I'm like, dude, what is happening? I got on it. It was shaking. This is not normal turbulence. Then the air hostess took the hello, the passengers on board. We are facing the seatbelt light has been turned on. Put your seatbelt on because you'll be facing a heavy turbulence. My heart caught. Heavy. What is heavy? We were still on it. The most scary part of this flight was we entered into a cloud, or should I say, or a storm, where everything in the plane was dark. At that time, I hadn't watched this. Even Manifest wasn't out. If you haven't watched Manifest, go and check it out. It wasn't out. Assuming I had watched that movie, trust me, I would have just find my ways to get out from the plane. The plane was 2 p.m. and this time, everything in the plane was dark. Darker than you can imagine. I wouldn't lie to you. Dark. People were shouting, "Oh Jesus, if today is my last day." Whilst people were shouting, somebody even said that they didn't even share their properties before boarding the flight. I was just quiet. I started saying my last prayers. What could I do? I was ready to die. But one thing I can't afford to do is to die in my sin. So I just started asking God, Father, I know this is my death junction. I will die. So just let me focus. Forgive me my sins. I know I'm a sinner. Forgive me my sins. Let me just die and go to heaven, because I can't afford to be broke on earth and also die and go to hell. So please, I started saying my last prayer. We were still in this darkness. I don't know what was going on. We moved from the dark area. We came into not so bright place, but brighter than where we are. All these things happen in the sky. There are so many things in the sky. Just from Kumasi to Accra, all these things were able to happen. And the second scary thing was the pilot tried to communicate with us. You know, that's a formality. The pilot will communicate with you. We are heading here. We flew 20 minutes here. Blah blah blah. How many thousand feet? A whole lot of history. The pilot tried to communicate with us, and the frequency was poor. We barely heard what he was saying. That was when I died. Yes, I died. Literally, I died, because I knew something like this is scary. It's serious. The enemies, hell is going on. It could be they are now separating us from the flight. I don't know if the plane is going to crash, but we can hear what the pilot is saying. Because man, I died again, because we are dead. Probably we are even dead, and we are just seeing ourselves. I don't know how dead looks like, but this was looking more like death. Sorry. And then we said we weren't able to communicate, so we were just moving around. You could see that we were just moving around, because we had moved from Kwo. We were in the sky. You could see things. Sometimes you could see Ashanti region where these galamseys have caught lakes. You could see dirty waters and other things. They come to Kwo, you see the mountains. When you come to Accra, you see the beach. So you could see, you wouldn't see where exactly you have gotten to, but you could see that you are still in the you are still in the land of Ashanti region or Kumasi, then you are in the land of the Eastern region, then you are in the land of Loritak, as you could see, especially if you have a bright sky. So now we saw the beach. It means we are in Accra. We're in Accra, man. How long will it take you from the beach to the airport? It's not long. Let us land. What is going on? Then finally the frequency came. The pilot said, sorry for the inconvenience. I'm like, man, my heartbeat is around 1,500. What you're saying can't help me. Land, put us on the land. Let's get a place to rest, man. What are you saying? We flew, and there was a storm. Sorry, we went through a storm. Fortunately for us, we were able to pass through the storm. I was like, no, we just went through a storm and we survived it. That's interesting. It means I have a second life. Then he said, but unfortunately, it still rained heavily. I was like, dude, you can't tell me rain started right after you took off. Things happen. But before rain came, we have weather forecasters, so they could probably see what was going on. So why didn't you tell us it was going to rain? We could have waited for an hour or 2 or 3 for this rain to stop. Why do you have to fly us through the rain? Were you trying to be a hero with our lives? Check him checking with our lives. Interesting. He's checking if they could get appropriate movement for us to land. If not, he has to make an emergency landing to either Takoradi Airport or Tamale Airport. People started shouting, "Man, land wherever you want to land. We just want to get on the land. Land. Forget about Accra. Let's go back to Northern Region, Kumasi, wherever." Then he said we can't also land in Kumasi because, and you know how these aviation things work. When a plane is coming, if you're expecting a plane, you can't just land like that. It could actually crash or something. So we can't land it. Fine, let's go and land in Northern Region. We are ready. We can take a bus. People start saying that we can take a bus home. Let's land. We just want to land. And he said we can't land. He's giving us 10 to 15 minutes or 10 to 20 minutes. So start moving around the beach, the sea. Why am I saying beach? Start moving around the sea, going around the sea, and on the sea, I don't know if there's a particular force, energy, radiation. I think the science people can explain this better. On the sea, the plane will start going, start tilting like this, then it goes like. I'm surprised it's funny to me. You know, all this while I was so scared, quiet, I was stiff, in fact, I was frozen. I couldn't do anything. People were shouting, doing all sort of things, but it seems I had prepared my mind to die. So God, I'm ready. I know you have forgiven me. Just prepare a place in heaven for me. I know I'm going to die. Sorry for my family. Just consoled. I mean, all sort of crazy things going on in my mind. And then finally he came. Yes, there's the weather is clear now. We can land. Come and see, shouting, we can land. It means we have about 5 to 10 minutes to land. A flight that was supposed to take 40 minutes took 1 hour 20 minutes, and that extra 40 minutes was hell for us. And we're about to land. And funny enough, some woman who was sitting behind the opposite lane shouted, "Ah, which literally means the man sitting beside her peed on him." So it was so funny. At that moment we forgot all our stories. We started laughing. Well, it was funny. Though we're all going through hell, but man, you're a big man to pee on yourself. But you know, we all have ways we react to fears, so I don't blame him. So we landed, and the moment we landed, I could say 90% of the people on board rushed into the washroom. You could hear people poking out, people running. I mean, a whole lot was happening. I didn't know the sky could do a lot of things. People were washing their faces, and they started thanking God. People knelt down to thank God, Father, we saved our life. The pilots were smiling. I was like, do you know what was happening? Are you aware of what was about to happen? And you are smiling. Or what? But I was highly disappointed in this airline, and ever since that incident, I've had a phobia in flying. I can't just imagine how that's happening, because my first flight, they didn't give me a phobia, but my second one gave me a phobia. And whenever I fly and I hear little turbulences, I get scared, super scared. I mean, I have flew so many times after that incident, but I'm still not comfortable with flying. I wish I could take baths all the time, but it's not easy for me, especially if I'm flying alone. I get super scared. If I'm flying with somebody I know, I can take comfort from them, but if I'm flying alone, it's super scared for me. And I wouldn't mention the airline's name because they are still performing badly. I think I tried their airline after some time and didn't want anything. How could you tell me we are flying in a plane with no AC? In fact, this AC in the plane is not luxury. AC in a plane is literally for survivor, because it takes away the oxygen and gives us it takes away carbon dioxide. Sorry, I'm trying to be a science hero. Give it to me there. It takes away our carbon dioxide and literally gives us oxygen, because there is no air in the sky. So if they are trying to tell me you're going to fly with no, when we got into the plane, they had this vacuum, something blowing cold air into the plane. We started complaining. It was so cold. I was closer to it, so I got goosebumps and I started complaining. We never knew that that was our savior, so we should take more of it. So when we were about to fly, they took the plane out, and for 5-10 minutes, the plane was cold, it was warm. Then after 15-20 minutes, the plane started getting hot. They realized the ACs are not working. It means, do you want to kill us? I think they have to check a lot of things, but I can't mention their names. And right now I'm scared of all the local flights. Probably when I try the international one, this phobia can go, but now it's hell. Okay guys, thank you for sailing with me. If you also have a terrible experience on your first flight or a good experience on your first flight, you can also share in the comment section. And guys, keep sharing the love, share my videos, comment, and also tell loved ones to subscribe. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. And we're obviously going to share funny stuff. I love you. Stay tuned.